We had a lot of fun coming up with ideas for this. There was no shortage of ideas related to an alternate universe for our heroes.
Oh, I can only imagine. It's like, all the possibilities. I'm so curious to know, like, how many different ideas you guys had that maybe were scrapped, but we'll get into that later. If you wanna first introduce yourself for people that don't know who you are.
Hey, I'm Dion Rogers. I'm the art director for Overwatch, and I work together with a team of amazing artists and designers to create all the cool skins and gameplay moments for Overwatch 2.
Yeah, all the really sick designs and stuff that we see for our heroes.
Mhm.
Yeah, so speaking of really sick designs, I figure we'll start off with the Mercy Mythic, which is just incredible. I personally couldn't have been happier for Mercy Mythic like that. And why was Mercy chosen for the Mythic instead of another hero? I know some people have been like, oh, it seems like kind of a weird choice.
Right. Yeah, generally with the Mythic, we want to try to do something somewhat unexpected. And Mercy, we had a lot of ideas for Mercy, so we were waiting for the right event or theme to do
Yeah.
for her. And it felt kind of cool to do what what does it feel like to see Mercy in a more bad way? You know, she's such a kind of good-natured hero on the roster, and
Yeah.
we were like, what's it look like if she had a little darker
Well, yeah.
moment?
She's such a, like, being a pacifist is kind of like a core to her person. So it's really
Mhm.
interesting. Like, I wanted an evil Mercy skin for so long, I can't even tell you.
Nice.
So it's so
So
cool to see you guys like really lean into that and even like make it the Mythic.
right. Yeah, so it was cool to pick her and do something kind of unexpected in a way, and expected too. You know, like what like a Dark Angel version
Yeah.
of Mercy. And this actually, the idea came from we have partners that work with us in Korea. There's a studio, an Overwatch studio actually in Korea that a lot of people may not know, but they actually did the initial concept drawing
Oh,
for Mercy. So
really?
yeah, they're our
Huh.
teammates in Korea, and they did this amazing drawing of Mercy, and we are like, we have to do this, you know?
That is so
Uh,
cool. Is
yeah, so
there
that's.
is
Mhm.
there any chance that we would see that one day, or like is that
Oh yeah, we will. We will share it soon.
cool?
Yeah, but
Okay,
this,
I will be looking forward to that.
yes, and know that it is done by our friends in Korea, and they are our partners in building Overwatch. So a lot of people don't know that we have a nice crew of developers and artists in Korea. That they do some killer stuff for us, including this Mercy skin that you see today.
Yeah, that's so cool. I didn't know that before, so and I'm sure a lot of other people didn't too.
Yeah.
So speaking of, what made the team decide to make Mercy the leader of Talon? And was there anyone else you considered? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm surprised it wouldn't be like Soldier or something like that.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Mercy was pretty immediate when
Really?
as soon as we thought of it was kind of a little bit like, oh, what if it was Mercy? And kind of instantly everyone's like, yeah, it should be Mercy, you know? So we didn't actually play a lot with a bunch of various heroes. It was pretty immediate to think that if we were going to make a Dark Angel version of Mercy and we had this Mirror Universe or Mirrorwatch theme going, how cool would it be if she was the leader of Talon, you know?
That is super cool. I
Yeah,
like that. I like to know that she was just like your guys' first thought. I think that's really cool.
yeah.
So I'm really curious about Mercy's lore in Mirrorwatch. It's hard not to be. So as Vengeance, is her name, is it still Angela or is it like something else? Because Angela has like the angel connotations and stuff like that to it.
Yeah, her name is still Angela in this universe. So
Mhm.
most of the characters would maintain their kind of core name, but their persona will be altered. So her name is still Angela, but I imagine people probably would kind of approach her as Vengeance. They would actually
Yeah.
use the name Vengeance as the title that they would speak to her. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's still Angela ultimately.
I imagine she probably like wouldn't like people calling her Angela anymore because it feels so like, angelic, obviously.
Yes, right.
Like if anyone referred
Yeah.
to her as Angela, she'd be like, who is that? I only know
She's over that
Rose.
version of herself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So, yeah.
yeah. A detail that I noticed, or I think I noticed, are the color
Mhm.
choices for the Mythic supposed to represent Talon, Null Sector, and Vishkar?
That's a really cool idea, but it doesn't. And I was like,
Really?
oh, no, it doesn't. But that's a interesting idea. The level 1 mythic is the base Talon colors, like red and black.
Yeah.
And then we tried to think of if there was like other layers to the Talon ecology, what other colors would be there. And so that's where the
Oh.
level 2 and the level 3 comes from. But yeah, it's not related to Null Sector or the other factions. It's what our thinking would be if you were to define more layers of the Talon ecology.
Interesting. Did you guys ever like go into that Talon ecology, and like is there anything that you can kind of share on like why those colors were picked? Because like they were so reminiscent of Null Sector and Vishkar that I'm like genuinely surprised.
That's right. The same. No, there's not a ton of details there other than generally when we make like our lore team and our narrative group, we try to write a long history for some of our bad guys or good guys or characters. And so
Yeah.
within that history, we can pull things from. And so imagine Null Sector, not Null Sector, Talon, maybe they have lieutenants or kind of layers to their organization that they would choose a different color to represent that layer
Yeah.
in their organization. That's where the idea comes from.
Did you ever name like those, like to say like, oh, the purple and like brown one is from like this like division or section of Talon, or did you guys like not go into that?
No, we didn't go into that detail, but it's a good detail to go into in the future.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to know. 'Cause, yeah,
Yeah.
I wow, that's actually really shocking to me. I was so convinced because I was like, these are like almost exactly like you even have like the brown from
Yeah,
Ramatra and stuff. That's super
right.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or the purple potentially being like a Null Sector color, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
Uh, so kind of going off of that, and maybe also incorrect, but there's some aspects of Vengeance's Valkyrie suit that are a little bit more like they look more experimental and almost reminiscent of like some of the stuff that Moira's skins have on it, like those like the tubing and like the needles and stuff like that. So
Right.
was that intentional, or where did that come from?
Yeah, this is not intentional, and I think it actually is a little less. The tubing is obviously a little more subdued on
Mhm.
Mercy's skin.
Yeah.
Generally, Talon has this kind of armor aesthetic that we try to apply to all skins that kind of represent Talon. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where it started. And hers is a little more this chaotic dark energy that you see on her like wings or her kind of when she uses her cadence staff. It's got this cool kind of energy about it. So part of it was more about going a lot more about Mercy, going darker with her, and if she had this kind of Talon based armor set on, what would that look like, and less about Moira, more of Talon as a whole, the type of armor this kind of faction would wear, and ultimately Moira is wearing what scientists within the Talon
Yeah.
organization might be wearing,
So,
you know.
so it's more of like scientists in general, not like specifically Moira, but like
Yes, right, yeah.
scientists kind of. Yeah, okay. Interesting. I like that.
Mhm.
Uh, can you share any more on the design decisions behind Mercy's Mythic? Anything that
Yeah. So from the lore that a Mercy's suit is called Valkyrie. It's what allows her to fly. So we ultimately needed to maintain this kind of the silhouette that we're used to seeing with Mercy, but push it a little bit. The Dark Angel vibe, when her wings are out, you see that chaotic kind of dark red energy that happens as she moves around the scene. So these were kind of the considerations that went into it, but at the same time, we wanted to break what we usually see about this kind of the angel versus dark angel vibe.
Yeah.
So you get the cool mask that one of the shots wear, or she's got this kind of commander visor.
Yeah.
And
It's cool seeing those like the different visors and stuff like that, and stuff like
yeah,
levels of it really cool.
and all of those were in service of like trying to make her feel like a leader. She's a commander of Talon, so the shape of the kind of fabric that she wears over her armor has got this kind of military-esque vibe to it, and maintaining all the wings and all the cool stuff that people recognize as Mercy, but you get to see her in kind of a flipped way.
Yeah, she really like screams boss. Like this is the leader. To me, I look at her and I go, yeah, that's a leader. Like
Yeah, and she has that vibe of like her core identity is still there, like she just I choose who lives and who dies, kind of thing,
yeah.
And this is something a Korean student, like I said, the Korean artists were they really focused on these aspects really well, and so it just made it so easy to make the choice that it's going to be Mercy, and
It just works so well. Like
yeah,
it
it
looks
just works.
so good. Like,
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys just did such a phenomenal job. I wasn't sure what I was ever like expecting from a Mercy Mythic. I wanted an evil skin. I didn't think it would be the Mythic, but I couldn't be like more happy that this is what we ended up with. Like it's all the details and stuff, and even the lines that Lucy recorded are phenomenal. I know like it's not a voice mod, and it's really interesting to see Lucy kind of tap into this and really like put on that persona. Like when she loads in or whatever, when she spawns in and she's like, "Don't fail me, I'll be right behind you." It's like
Right.
she's gonna kill you if you fail her, essentially. Like she's not messing around. She means business.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice keeping that core of the hero, but it has this different expression in a way, you know?
It's this very like menacing kind of like there's undertones in what she's saying that's very like, you better not mess up.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So before we move on to some of the other skins, are Talon's goals the same in the Mirrorverse as they are in our normal timeline?
Yeah, actually both groups keep their kind of core goal. Overwatch is still fighting for humanity and trying to do good stuff.
Yeah.
And Talon is still, their goal is, ultimately Doomfist was the leader of their goal, which he wants the world to be the strongest it can be through conflict.
Yeah.
So this remains the same. So, although, for example, Doomfist is now a leader within Overwatch, he still wants to help, like, protect humanity, but he wants to do that. He knows the strongest people do that, So that core of his personality remains,
I like that.
And,
I
like-
like that core personality remains, and it's still like about like strength for him.
Yes, right. The strongest people protect the world. And then Reinhardt, for example, he's still charging everywhere and wanting to battle stuff, but he's extra aggressive about it, and he you hear his lines where he's like, we'll tear them down, this kind of it's Reinhardt still, but he's less careful than he was before. So this is the same, and you see with Mercy, she's still supportive, but in a kind of wicked way.
It keeps her like scientist support kind of doctor vibe, but in a much more evil kind of way. Yeah.
Yep.
It's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Alright, so other skins. I have lots of questions about other skins because it's just so fascinating to see all your guys' design decisions and being like, oh my gosh, like why did that happen?
Okay.
And a big one is, why was Genji chosen to be part of the Junkers instead of the Hashimoto like we see Kiriko and Hanzo are?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our concept team, there's no shortage of ideas from our concept. They're pretty awesome.
doubt.
And actually, a lot of these skins manifested before we actually had the idea of a Mirrorwatch universe. So Genji is one of them, where the concept art team wanted to make a Junker that had a sword. So they had this
Okay.
idea of like, what if one of the Junkers had a sword? And they're like, okay. And then they kind of tested it out on Genji. And so we held on to this drawing. And then when the Mirror Watch theme came up, perfect. Now you can do your Genji
That's
with
really
a
cool.
sword, your Junker Genji with a sword. So there's quite a few ideas that kind of manifest in a way before we actually reached the thought of a theme that was based around alternate universe, and Genji was one of them.
That's what I was like. I feel like you guys probably do that a lot, huh? Kind of like
Yes.
have ideas or concepts, and we're like, okay, we really want to do this, but maybe like when it's appropriate, when we find a theme that works for it.
Yeah, and yeah, amazing art team. Hana Mercy, we wanted to do a Dark Angel Mercy for a while, but it just finding the right timing for it. And then Mirrorwatch came up, and then someone said, let's make it the Mythic, and then we totally went all in on it. But that's kind of how the development works. It's a lot of iterative things going on, people pitching ideas, finding the right slot to put it in, and this was one of them. Genji being a Junker came up.
Yeah, because I saw that and I was like, whoa, like it made a lot of sense to me, like, for example, Symmetra being a Junker because, she's part of Vishkar and she has a lot of places a lot of importance on, like, order and kind of like perfectionism in a way. So it's really interesting to see that
to her,
flipped
right?
and like all of a sudden it's like chaos and it's like the Junker's right, and that was really, to me, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I was like, Genji, I wonder like what's up with that. So,
yeah, it came from a sword Junker. Like, what's a sword? A Junker with a sword. What does he look like?
He looks like Genji, like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So moving on, another skin that kind of perplexes me a little bit is Sojourn's skin. So oh gosh, what did you guys call
Or Night Op skin.
Yeah, Night Op skin, Night Op Soj. Because I was like, oh, it's green, and it stood out between like when you guys did the trailer, the other Talon members, and then there was Soj and like some green, and I was like, oh, I wonder like what that's about. So if you could maybe shed some light.
Actually, this skin is not a part of the Mirrorwatch event. It's just a skin for Sojourn, and so she's not a Talon kind of a alternate version of herself. It's just this kind of Night Ops kind of camouflage skin she may wear. And then me personally, even in an alternate universe, Sojourn would never join Talon.
No, she'd probably like go on her own before she ever like
be a solo mercenary before she makes that step. Even that part of her persona would carry over into the next universe.
Love that for her. Love that she wouldn't mess with that. She's too strong for that.
Yeah, so that skin is not particularly a part of the Mirrorwatch. Yeah.
That's really cool to know, because I definitely thought that it was part of it because it was like shown with the Talon people, and I was like, oh, what's... But yeah, that's actually really cool. Nice. So, I kind of already know the answer to this one because voice lines have been found, but I'll ask it anyway for people watching. Is Widowmaker's husband Gerard like alive in this universe?
Oh wow. I hope so. She's much nicer in this universe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she is a much nicer Widowmaker in the Mirrorwatch universe. So Gerard may be okay.
He definitely wouldn't kill him in his sleep, but yes.
Maybe she let him know this time.
People found a voice line where she kills Anna, and Widowmaker says something like, wait until Gerard hears about this, or some kind of form of, like, along that line. So I was like, oh, okay, so he's probably alive. Yeah. That was, like, after I wrote that question, but, yeah, so, I mean, combination of nice Widowmaker at the voice line, it's safe to say he's probably chilling.
Yeah, he should be fine. Yeah.
Okay, so
she's much nicer.
Another skin that also really perplexes me and kind of tied into Widowmaker, maybe? How did the team come up with Baptiste's scorpion skin? Because it sort of gives like Widowmaker vibes, Widow kind of became synonymous with this like spider, the Black Widow. and Bap is just like a scorpion now. They're kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you guys
So this is another skin not quite associated with the Mirrorwatch universe, but you're right. It has this vibe of like almost an alternate universe, and so no worries. When we imagine this skin as if say it was in an alternate universe, imagine Baptiste is he was still selfish, you know, like in his lore, he remained his selfish ways, and he became this kind of scorpion assassin, you know. So you could almost place it in some sort of alternate version of Baptiste, but it's not technically a part of Mirrorwatch.
Cool. Yeah, because to me it was like it definitely gave like heavy Widowmaker kind of vibes. So
with the spider and a scorpion.
yeah,
right?
exactly. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I wonder if there's like anything there. But cool to know that he is not technically part of the Mirrorverse. But if he was, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's still kind of selfish and mean, and he became this kind of scorpion assassin, which gives him that kind of Widowmaker vibe. She's an assassin, obviously, too, right? So he's a scorpion assassin in his kind of alternate world.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so weird to think of a Bap that like just stays selfish and doesn't, you know, become who he becomes. Like it's so so weird to think of Bap that way, but yeah, really interesting. So some people have pointed out, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that certain heroes like Winston, Soldier, and Reaper don't make an appearance in the Mirrorverse. So is there anything that you can share about that?
Yeah. So, like we mentioned before, there's no shortage of ideas for the Mirrorverse, and we actually did create some ideation around like Lucio as a Vishkar agent.
He would have been really good for that. I've seen some people making concept art of a potential Vishkar Lucio, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, that would be so good.
Right. I think the concept team also did a nice take on Winston as a junker, which was pretty awesome. Yeah, kind of unexpected for Winston, but it was cool.
Is not what I would have expected for Winston. I would have expected like maybe Talon or maybe like, you know, because he's so dedicated to Overwatch. So
yes,
it's so like junker. Do you guys like what was the process of like thinking about that?
Yeah, you know, in New Junk City, there's actually, you can see a little bit more about there's deeper factions within the Junkers. So there's kind of like an engineering section, whatever you think a Junker engineering section would look like. And so that's where Winston landed. He was like if Junkers had an engineer, Winston would be that guy, because he kind of does that for Overwatch as well.
Cool.
And so that's kind of the thinking. So when we developed New Junk City, we kind of developed the faction of Junkers a little bit more, where there was subsets of them. There's like the guys who take care of like the city, and then there's the guys who do their engineering, whatever that looks like for Junkers. And that's
Winston
how
would be one of them.
Yeah, that's who Winston
You'd see him
was.
over there.
Yeah. So that's how that idea came about.
Is there anything that you can share about, like, was there any ideation for, like, Soldier and Reaper, or...
Yeah, and those were probably as straightforward as you think. Reaper being fully Overwatch, and Soldier would be Talon. But ultimately, we just so many cool ideas. We just couldn't do them all. But there's no plans currently. But if we ever did a part 2, we'd try to, you know, reveal more of those things.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of people would be interested in a part 2, expanding on the Mirrorwatch as a universe and just seeing more of these heroes that we love just in different kinds of ways, and imagining them as like, oh, you know, what if Winston was a junker, right?
Yes,
like
right.
you were saying, like, how would that look? And yeah, I think a lot of people would really love to see more of that. So kind of building off of that, if you had the freedom to complete the roster, and obviously it would be probably very hard to say like where every hero would land up. But you know, maybe what faction would Lifeweaver be in as someone who was Vishkar but is now like part of the collective and away from that.
I love Lifeweaver, and
Me too.
I would almost treat me personally. I would try to. I treat him a little bit like we did Mercy. He would be the leader of Vishkar, but in this alternate universe, it would be a military organization.
Ooh.
Attempting to heal the world at all costs. You know. So,
wait, that's really sick.
So this is imagine Lifeweaver. He's the leader of Vishkar. And he still has that personality, his core, wanting to heal the world, you know, and save things. But they do it at all costs, you know, for the greater good, no matter what, you know.
If he has to stomp out some like flowers, cut out trees or whatever, like whatever it takes.
That's how they get it done. So he would be leader of Vishkar, but they would be in this alternate universe, they'd be this crazy military organization that wants to heal the world.
Yeah, so very, very different kind of Vishkar than the one that we would be seeing in like this Mirrorverse, where it's still like Vishkar, but
trying to help, kind of.
Yeah, in some weird ways.
Yep. So that's what I do.
Yeah. Speaking of Vishkar, and kind of related to, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but Vishkar is missing in the Mirrorwatch. We don't see really any Vishkar skins. So was there a reason for that? Because, and then I was thinking, like, for example, Vishkar Lucio would go like really hard.
Yeah, so. Right. This is we did experiment with this, you know, and we actually did. The concept team did a great drawing of Lucio as if he was a part of. He's a lieutenant within Vishkar's organization. But, you know, we ultimately had to cut some things, and including the idea of 76 and Reaper. But what we landed on was to focus on the kind of Overwatch cross Talon idea, with a few outliers like the Junker skins that you see throughout it. So, and no plans currently, but if we did that part 2, that's part of like if we hold on to a few things to really elevate the next step. If we ever reach a part 2, Vishkar would definitely be a part of that next layer, you know.
Fingers crossed, because Vishkar Lucio, the Lucio players would go wild for that. I think like I've seen some of that like concept art that fans are doing, and it's like. He looks so sick. Like, that would be such a good Lucio skin. Yeah. We, you know, obviously, it's notable that a lot of factions were missing. Like, there's a ridiculous amount of factions in Overwatch. So, yeah. Makes sense why we're only really focusing on Talon and Overwatch here with, like, a few elsewhere. But
Junker guys, yeah.
And that Sim skin is incredible. I know, I didn't really pitch this before, but like, is there anything about the Sim skin that you want to share or that you think is really interesting?
I'll tell you a different thing, a skin we tried for Symmetra. There was another idea of kind of cross hero kind of alternate universe. So when we were thinking of Vishkar and Lucio, we also tried an experiment of a Lucio Symmetra. So it's Symmetra with a lot of the Lucio tech, and she was super into music and these different things while maintaining her kind of core personality. But that was kind of an alternate version of the ideas where we mixed heroes instead of just the factions mixing, you know? So that's a future kind of idea. So that's something special about the Symmetra skin, but we decided to shift to the Junker thing. But her initial ideas was she was one of the first ones we tested, mixing Lucio Tech with Symmetra.
Is there a... Sorry, he is...
Oh, no worries at all.
Is there maybe any other heroes that were kind of like that you tried? Is it, like, because that's actually super interesting to think of, like, I know people have talked about maybe like crossing certain heroes and being like, oh, like switch Moira and Mercy's outfits or whatever. But are there any other heroes that you kind of messed around with, like in the same vein of like Lucio Symmetra? Because that's really interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah, no, it actually wasn't too many. We had like some ideas of some, but we never reached kind of the concepting phase with them.
Yeah.
Because immediately we kind of thought it's a significant amount of work to do it, but we were more stuck on the Overwatch cross Talon combo than to do that's a different alternate universe where we do,
entirely. That's completely but yeah, it's a really cool idea, and cool to know that you guys were kind of like messing around with that, and maybe we'll see that in the future, maybe.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it was very cool, but ultimately we focused on the Overwatch cross Talon.
Yeah. We have hinted a little bit about this next question, but were there other Mirrorverse skins that the team had ideas or concepts for that didn't make it into the game, ones that you haven't mentioned yet and that you think are really interesting?
Yeah, this one, these are actually not totally related to Mirrorwatch, but there was also this idea of what do our heroes look like, older or more experienced, like as time has passed for them. You know, what does Tracer look like, and say time has passed and some Overwatch agents have moved on, some have had kids. What does all this look like in this alternate universe where there's a time jump on the roster of the crew? So there was some experiments with the kind of older Tracer or more experienced Tracer. Where Reinhardt's retired and what's he up to? You know, what's all these things look like if we did a time jump on the team in this alternate universe? But we ultimately, again, we settled back on Overwatch cross Talon.
Do you think if Tracer was older, did you guys ever get to the point where you're like, oh, like this is what she would be doing kind of thing?
No, we didn't really get into it, but I think she'd probably be a leader within Overwatch at this point.
Yeah.
You know, and recruiting new folks. You know, but no, we didn't quite get that far. But that was just one of the early ideas for what an alternate universe could look like.
It's so fascinating to me, like, learning about other places that you guys imagine the heroes that we love and being like, oh, like, what if this situation, or what if this one or that one, or yeah, it's really cool to learn more about that.
Yeah. Or like what happens if Talon succeeds with their goals, you know?
Yeah,
what does the world look like?
Yeah, what would the world look like? What would happen?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Or yeah, so no shortage of ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any fun details that you really want to share about the Mirrorverse that we haven't really touched on yet?
Other than the event is pretty cool, you know. We remixed a lot of the abilities of the heroes, and in a lot of ways, it's interesting to see what those heroes can do now. Like I really love Reinhardt's shield. It protects people while at the same time enhancing their bullets when you shoot through it. You know,
that's a cool one.
It matches that kind of core identity still remaining while adding the aggressive layer for him. Yeah. You can see with Mercy. She's got all kinds of stuff going on and cool voice lines. So I just think, you know, try out the event. You know, it's an event. It's not meant to be overly balanced or anything. Just have fun and see these heroes in a way that we haven't seen them before. But and maybe we learn something from it. You know, we take some things from what players experience and what you guys experience while playing, and it could have influenced things in the future.
Yeah, I personally have been having such a fun time with Mercy in Mirrorwatch. Like, I think the only thing that I played today for like a good 6 hours was Mirrorwatch, and when the event came out yesterday, I played like 5 hours of it when it came out, because I was like, this is so fun. Like, you guys were able to keep Mercy's identity and allow her to, you know, instead of bring people back from the dead, she dealt damage in a very interesting and very fun way. Like, if someone, I've had so many times where I will just explode souls and a tracer will just be like walk in and she'll just all of a sudden she's just dead and I'm like, that felt good.
Amazing.
And she's just gone. You feel so powerful. You're like, yeah, I control these games. Like Mercy feels so fun.
It feels like
mode.
her theme, right? Yeah.
Like
it plays like the lore, you know.
Yeah, it plays like Mercy is in charge and she really is like deciding whether people live or die or not, and if she wants you dead, you're probably gonna die.
Yeah, our game designers are having a lot of fun with this stuff, and so it helped influence a bit of the art too as well when the gameplay designers were working on ideas for this kind of event. We wanted to do 1 million characters, not enough time. Yeah. And so we'll get to it eventually if we do a part 2.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were really interested in thinking like, oh, if other heroes were in this, like, what would they look like? What would they do in the game? What kind of abilities would they have? And yeah, it would be cool to see more of that. I would definitely not be opposed. And I know so many people have been enjoying this theme and thinking that it's just like super cool to see our heroes in this universe and with these reimagined abilities just like wreaking havoc in ways that they otherwise wouldn't. And I know that people have also been loving the Widowmaker skin specifically. I know we talked a little bit about her lore-wise, but is there anything about her that, like, her design, that you'd be able to share with us?
For Widowmaker in our Overwatch, Widowmaker in our Overwatch skin, it's nothing too big other than doing that, turn her from bad to good.
Yeah.
But it's pretty rare to somewhat see Widowmaker with a normal skin, right? Like she's usually
very weird to see. It's like, oh, not purple. Like, what's up?
Or her brunette hair, or like her hair being a normal color. So this is sometimes fun
purple,
to do,
isn't it?
Generally, it's purple in our normal skin. She. That's kind of what sometimes when we think of Widowmaker, it's seeing her not in her assassin mode is interesting for the art team.
Yeah, I imagine it's really interesting to think like, oh, what would this hero kind of look like if she wasn't purple and looked like this? Like, what would she look like? And I mean, I guess you can apply that to any hero, but not all heroes are purple.
No, not at all, right? So, because she's got that kind of thing she's doing to be the best assassin she can be. So
pretty good at that.
And that's why I think, I want to believe Gerard is alive in this alternate universe.
I'd like to think he is too. Well, it makes, it raises a lot of questions, and you probably don't have the answer to this, but it raises questions about like, we know a couple of other heroes that have significant others, so is it like, oh, did maybe one of them kill, like, their significant other? Like, is Emily alive?
Yeah,
did Tracer kill Emily? Did, like, maybe Anna kill Sam or something like that? Like, I know people have been theorizing about that kind of thing, and I think the discussion around it has been very interesting. People are like, oh, well, if Gerard's alive, someone else must be dead. And, like,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any insight into that, because it's
I don't know.
Not exactly art, but more lore, but interesting to kind of theorize about stuff like that.
Right. No, I don't know. And a lot of the art comes from a story. Like we look at the character and say, hey, what if, and then we start to draw, so none of it is canon, obviously, but we try
non-canon.
But we try. The heart of it always comes from a story.
I have a Talon-related question that I didn't think of until recently. If you can't answer it, that's okay. But I noticed in a lot of the Talon skins, there's something that is always kind of like amiss about them. Like, for example, Brig's eyes, or you can see on Zarya, her veins are really like prominent, and she's got like this tubing going into her head, and she's got like some other stuff like around her forehead and around her neck that kind of looks like scarring. And then like Reinhardt, he's got kind of like a more Bane kind of look with the mouthpiece. And so I'm wondering if there's anything that you can maybe share about those decisions.
Yeah, it's not something that's too direct, but I imagine Moira is a very experimental scientist, right? And Talon agents are super soldiers. They are in some ways like an enhanced person.
Yeah.
So you can see sometimes these results of these experiments are what you're seeing on these heroes, you know?
Yeah.
So think about Moira being one of the head scientists within Talon. What kind of experiments would she do to create a super soldier, you know?
Oh, so in the Mirrorverse, would Moira still be like part of Talon then? Or would it more so be like Mercy doing those things?
Yes, right. So say, I don't know if Moira's in or not, but if they still had science, because they maintain their core identity, Talon is still, their goals remain the same in the alternate universe. Yeah. So if they were to hire some sort of scientist, they'd probably be another experimental person, you know?
Yeah.
So,
like,
yeah.
Low-key, I saw those like details on the Talon skins, and I was like, wait, like almost all of them have some sort of like sign that they've been experimented on, and I'm like, I know some people were kind of like theorizing, you know, if Moira isn't in Talon, then Mercy is the leader, but she's also still like a scientist doctor kind of person. And it's like, did she like experiment on people? Because I'm looking at these things and I'm like, wait a second, like she's evil, like she might.
Yeah, I appreciate you seeing that level of detail, because a lot that the team really puts a lot of details like that in, and it's great that you noticed this and appreciate it.
You guys put like an incredible amount of detail in all of the skins. It's so fun looking at the skins and being like, oh, this person has this and this person has this. Like the little details, like I know a big major one was Ana has both of her eyes. And
yes, right?
That I'm sure is a callback to Ana's origin story, where, you know, between the Widowmaker, Ana, she doesn't lose her eye this time, and one of Widowmaker's eyes looks like it's kind of like cybernetic. So it's like, oh, maybe, you know, Ana won that battle and Widow had like her eye replaced or something because she was the one that got it taken out or whatever. But it's so interesting to see that kind of level of your guys' designs and to like theorize about stuff like that. Like it's there's so many details in not even just Mirrorwatch, but in all the skins that you guys do. That's really just interesting to look at and kind of think like, oh, maybe this happened, or maybe this. And yeah, the level of details that you guys put in is just truly incredible.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, these guys are working hard and pitching ideas always.
I bet. And it's always so fun. You guys have really, like, back playing Overwatch, like the Overwatch skins were always good, but a lot of them you guys have really taken to another sort of level. And
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the designs are just always phenomenal. There's rarely a skin that I find that I'm disappointed with personally.
Yeah, and we're always collaborating with the designers and the narrative team to help with these ideas. And I think that's something we do a bit more than before. We really collaborate. Like, how do we tell a story with each thing, you know?
And I love that. Like, more of that narration through the skins, and really you can tell that you are telling a story. And especially I think that really shines through in Mirrorwatch. All these details, and it's like, oh, that's like a reference to that, or that's like, you know, maybe like this. And yeah, I love that you guys are working together and really creating like very memorable and beloved skins off of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we before we kind of wrap up, because I know it's almost been an hour here, but is there anything that we haven't really had a chance to bring up that you have been like itching to tell people about Mirrorwatch?
No, I think just jump in and see all the changes we made. And I don't know if you noticed, there's a little null sector robot that appears occasionally. There's
Wait.
someone's ability. There's a character with an ability to create.
Yeah, the people have been calling them like Bastion's puppies or like the little chickens or like little babies. It's so cute. Those guys are adorable.
Yeah, I think our designers and stuff, we just tried all kinds of fun ideas just to really push this event in a way that we're super excited to, like, man, if we can do a part 2, we can just kind of try even more ideas. But there's no plans currently, but if this does well, maybe we can.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, my finishing question was gonna be, do you think this is the last we'll see of Mirrorwatch? And I mean, we've kind of been talking about that through the interview. It seems like...
I hope not. You know, me personally, I want another one.
I know, I want another one too. Like,
it
just the quality of these skins, the stories that they tell, you guys have knocked it out of the park. I think everyone would love to see Mirrorwatch come back and see more of our heroes flipped like that, so fingers crossed. It seems like it's been doing well so far, so
yeah. I would love to, and I think the team as well. We did quite a lot of concept for this one.
We're gonna need to see those. Like, we need another one. Listen, you guys better make sure that Mirrorwatch does well. Everyone that's watching or will watch this in the future, maybe you gotta make sure that this does well. We want to see more.
Awesome.
Vishkar Lucio, we need him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think that's all I have for you today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your time, and the questions are awesome. So you have a great day, and reach out anytime if you want to chat again.
Oh, you know, I would love to chat anytime. I am in love with the art you guys do, and the designs. It's just, they're everything to me. So, you know, I would love to talk again sometime. It was great having you on. Thank you so much for joining me, and yeah, have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Everyone say thank you, Dion. Thank you, Dion. Thank you. Rocky, oh my gosh. Little guy, what's going on? What's going on? This heckin' guy. Chatty little man. Oh, hello, hello. Yeah, hello. Yes, hello. The babies. Yes, please, Austin. Both of them are so needy. I know. Oh my gosh. Thanks so much for asking a bunch of lore questions. Yeah, of course. I know that some, you know, Dion wasn't able to talk about as much just because, you know, it's more narrative, but it was really cool that there were some that he was able to answer and share with us, and yeah, that was really cool. The babies are so impatient. It's really cool being able to talk to Dion about stuff like that, because Rocky. It's just, I don't know, it's really, the Overwatch art, I mean, it's great, right? Like, it's incredible. Lifeweaver concept, I know. Maybe one day we'll see that, maybe one day. Bro is hungry? Yeah, bro is frickin' hungry. Are you also hungry, Murpy? Yeah, it's dinner time for the babies. Like, hurry up, Skiesti, we're hungry. Look at this little girl. Look at that little girl. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. It was really cool having Dion on. Very sick.